Hello, and welcome to Catholicism in the Car. My name is Parker Zerbal. So, this morning I posted the first introduction podcast online, which was an interesting process trying to figure out how to edit it and all these things. I used to be a musician, not professionally or anything, but enough that I was in two different bands, and we did some recording. Also, when I was in high school and middle school, I was in a steel drum band, like a Jamaican band. It was through my middle school, and we actually got to record an album at Sweetwater Sound, which is, I think, a pretty large recording company, also just music supplies company that's based out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, which was a pretty neat experience. I was in middle school; it's not that big of a deal at all, but it really got me into my love of music, and really kind of lit a fire in my heart for music. And I started a rock band. We played shows around town. That was like in high school. And then me and a friend of mine would play just acoustic music at coffee shops. We recorded CD in our basement. Even to this day, I'm still surprised how well we were able to mix the recording and get it all together. But when I graduated high school, for my whole senior year, part of my junior year, I was discerning the priesthood or the religious life. And by about halfway through my senior year, I decided to join a group of Franciscan friars who were pretty nuts, I have to say. We were pretty radical. We didn't wear shoes. We didn't have beds. We slept on hardwood floors every day. We would pray all 7 of the Liturgy of the Hours. So the first one was at midnight. We would wake up at midnight. We would pray matins, which lasts about 40 minutes or so. And then we'd go back to sleep until about 5:45 to wake up for lauds, which is morning prayer. Then at 9 we would pray, noon we would pray, 3 p.m. we would pray, 6 p.m. we would pray vespers, 9 p.m. we would pray compline, and then it would start over at midnight. What's interesting with the Liturgy of the Hours is that I think it was in the 9th or 10th century, they actually suppressed the hour, what used to be called or designated as prime, which was at 3 a.m. So it used to be in monastic communities, you would pray every 3 hours, 24 hours a day. And I think the church, after a while, realized it wasn't really feasible to do that for people's health and things. So they took away the 3 a.m. hour to make it healthier for people, basically. But the midnight hour was kept. Even until this day, in many communities, the midnight hour of matins is kept. Now, diocesan priests have virtually never had to follow the actual timeline hours. But most religious communities do. Even today, a lot of them don't pray matins anymore, don't pray that midnight prayer anymore, which is kind of tragic. Because, yes, it's hard. I did it for 4 years. It's hard. And at one point, I had to stop for a while because I was having some pretty serious sleep issues. But for the sake of the salvation of souls, seems pretty worth it to me. Especially that, for about 400, 500 years, monks were praying literally every 3 hours, 24 hours a day. And then for the last 1,000 years or so, they've been praying all of them except for the 3 a.m. hour. So, and there have always been exceptions there for individuals' health, but as a community, they would pray all 7 of those hours. So anyway, so we would do 2 Eucharistic holy hours a day, one in the morning after lauds, and then one in the evening before vespers, which is evening prayer. We have Mass every day, obviously. We would beg for all of our food. We literally used no money. I didn't touch money for 4 years. And we did a lot of preaching, a lot of parish missions, retreats, especially for teenagers, a lot of retreats for teenagers. But the main focus of our life, as should be the main focus of everyone in the religious life, was prayer. We would spend literally about 6+ hours a day in prayer, whether that be our 2 Eucharistic Holy Hours, Mass, and then the 7 hours of the Divine Office. And I honestly, I'm not trying to brag here. I mean, I left the community because after 4 years, it became clear that I needed to give myself time to discern marriage, which I hadn't properly done before. But it was the best 4 years of my entire life. I tell young people all the time who are discerning their vocations, you cannot go wrong discerning the religious life or the priesthood. You cannot go wrong. If you give the Lord, even if it's just 6 months or a year, discerning with a religious community or going to seminary, do it. You will not regret it. I certainly don't. It was some of the best 4 years of my life. I learned so much, not just intellectually, but spiritually. That was the most important thing that I learned, was how to pray. And granted, after leaving the religious life, it was difficult, and it still has its struggles of trying to readjust. When you go from 6-7 hours a day of prayer and it's all worked into your schedule, you don't really have to think about it. And then you go into secular life and you gotta actively work it in. I'm going to be completely honest. There were days, weeks, I don't know if months, but definitely days and weeks where I would go without proper prayer time during the day because I didn't know how to adapt. And it wasn't that I didn't have that relationship formed with Jesus and the Father and the Holy Spirit and Mary and the saints. It wasn't that I didn't have those relationships formed. It was that, on a human level, I didn't know how to adjust to the new form of life. And granted, 3 months after I left, I jumped into my freshman year of college, which I probably shouldn't have done. Although, I am grateful for it on a practical level. I think for the sake of my spiritual life during those years, which is the most important thing, probably wasn't the best route to go. And yeah, I should share more about my experience in the religious life. I don't think I've done that properly yet. So anyway, hope that helps. Yeah. All right. Oh, real quick, please feel free to subscribe to any of my podcasts on any of the podcast players. Find me on YouTube. Please subscribe. Like me on Facebook, like the Catholicism Car channel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all there. Catholicism Car. And then I also have a Patreon account if you wish to support what I do at this podcast and this YouTube channel. And you can also support us on Anchor.fm. There's a support button there you click on. I also have links to all this on my website's support page at www.catholicisminthecar.com.